Hello everybody and welcome back to Bye Bye Earth, episode 7. A little bit late, like 2 days late, but as you could have read in my community post, I was out and about on a local convention thing. I'm all throughout bitten by all sorts of mosquitoes and shit, and I itch all over because of it, because I have the opposite of luck of being very susceptible to mosquito bites, but I had fun. Met some new people, met some old people, so overall I don't regret going. Well, I of course regret not being able to release videos on schedule. It's like already a second week this month that I had to shake my schedule up. First because I was visiting family, now because of this thing. But now my schedule is pretty much clear, so it should be smooth sailing from now on. Regardless, bye bye Earth. What happened in the previous episode? Well, in the previous episode, we finished the big fight with the big bad mermaid in a very cool, very stylish, but also interesting way in that Belle was not really playing first fiddle there, right? First, there was the fight on the bridge, where Belle, of course, was very helpful, sure, but so were the other people, right? Including Benedictine, who got imprinted on Belle and now presents as Benedict. I think, I don't know if she changed her name when she turned into a man, or I don't think Belle even referred to him now by his name, so I don't know. We'll see where that goes. So there was the fight on the bridge that went very well, mostly thanks to Kitty the Owl. They really would be screwed on more than one occasion if Kitty was not with them. So it's a good thing that he was with them. But it's interesting because they were sent there just, completely alone, all by themselves, and they were able to survive only because of Kitty, who came here of his own volition, which makes me think if they were just sent there to die, perhaps, right? That's something that could very well be the case, because we know that many things here in this world are sort of preordained, right? Like, if the god or the priest king sends a group of top dogs versus a group of underdogs, and the group of top dogs is weaker than the group of underdogs, then we know that he wants to bring balance back and kill a certain amount of top dogs. So really, really interesting if maybe Kitty the Owl is kind of shaking up the balance here. We'll see how it goes, of course. Then there was stopping some of the waterways with some smart magic that included illusion to make the water seem as if it's still flowing. And we found ourselves at a cemetery kind of thing, where the fallen of the underdogs only, I believe, are buried, and plenty of raven trees, bushes, raven trees, I think, grows there and sends ravens to the bereaved. That was a decently defensible place, especially with the temple in the middle, so they were able to defend themselves pretty well, again with large-scale fire magic, essentially. And all of that led eventually to the fight with the mermaid, whose name I cannot recall. And even here, before that we had the Bugman and someone else, and Guinness, right? We had them try to sacrifice themselves, right? But who was it? It was Belle and Adonis, or someone else, who decided, no, you're not. You're gonna continue living, right? You did your thing with your sacrifice, but we're not gonna let you finish it. We're gonna save you. So that was nice. everybody seems to be alive. Well, almost everybody, because there was also the libero. No, the guy with the chained sword and the mask, who was sent there to convey the events to the god, who sacrificed himself for the benefit of all, and that kind of saved the day as well. And then, only then, finally we got to the big fight of the mermaid traitor versus Adonis. That was very interesting, that the fight was not against Belle, right? Belle is our protagonist after all. Who is supposed to have big fights against big bads? Well, the protagonist. No, not really. It was Adonis, because Adonis doesn't have beef with her, she has beef with Adonis. Adonis was the one to bring her news of her loved one having died, and then he appeared again, and that's where she lost it. And so it was poetic, kinda, in a way, that it was Adonis who got to fight her in the end. We got some very, very fucking cool choreography with Adonis pulling swords essentially out of thin air. That was super cool. Using those swords up as well, right? Every single sword is essentially disposable for him, especially after he lost his gloves and his hands were just directly corroding the swords. Then we got transported into a pocket dimension of the Mermaid Woman, where the fight continued. It was a space out of space, essentially. Belle was able to stay there, like in place, only because Kitty also went there and created like a room essentially out of his magic, where up was up and down was down, or rather where up and down were defined at all. And that's where Belle was able to stay. Meanwhile, Adonis was fighting the mermaid by standing on the hilts of the swords that were being briefly regurgitated by his familiar. That was another amazing piece of choreography. Very imaginative fights. It was a great episode overall. In the end, though, Belle did kind of save the way. She did cleave that mermaid in... No, she only cut off her... No. Yeah, I think she only cut off her hand, wasn't it? Because her hand started turning into a sword, right? That was another super cool thing. Her hand started turning into a sword, so Belle, who normally cannot hurt, cannot harm, like biological, I guess, human beings, she was able to hurt that because it was not her, it was a sword taking over, and Belle is able to cut swords, right? Something like that, probably. And Adonis was able to grab her with his sword destroying powers and wither the sword away, and she briefly got her, the mermaid girl, briefly got her mind back, because it seems like she was kinda sorta being mind controlled by the sword. That was very cool, because we know that the sword was fixed once. It was broken, and then it was fixed, and Adonis really regrets that he allowed that to happen, which leads us to believe that because the sword was fixed, the things that happened. It could be a very easy and fast, quick, I guess, explanation, and classic explanation. If she didn't have her sword, she would not be fighting, we would not have to fight her, right? Simple enough. But I really think there's something more to that, and I really think that the moment a sword is broken and repaired, the price you pay for that repair is that the sword can turn against you at any moment. Or not necessarily against you, but it can start devouring you. And so when she was vulnerable after learning that her loved one died, that gave the sword the opportunity to take her over, essentially. And that's going to be very interesting, because we know that Sian also left his broken sword to the swordwright to fix. So it's entirely possible that we might have to face a corrupted Xian, for the lack of a better term. Probably not anytime soon, but eventually in the future. And I'm gonna have to turn on my fan because it's very warm inside. Apparently. Yeah, 27 and something degrees. I really thought the biggest heat is like past us, but apparently not. Little did I know. No, I'm gonna turn you a little bit more. There we go. That's better. So, in today's episode, I expect a closure? Kinda. We kinda got closure, right? The whole thing, the whole big battle was finished in the end. I guess I can expect more of a fallout, so to speak, a summary, right? Like what's gonna happen to Belle and Adonis, right? Are they gonna get a medal or something from the king? And what's gonna happen to the remainder of the army, right? We know that some people might have survived. It's possible. What's gonna happen with the underdogs that were helping them, right? All sorts of questions. And I think some of them might be answered in this episode. I don't think we're gonna be jumping straight into action, straight into another arc. I would say we probably have enough time. I still don't know how many episodes this show is, all in all. I just know that we are at episode 7, and that the next one is coming out in 5 days, and that each episode is 24 minutes, but I don't know the number of episodes, which would point at 24 plus, I'd say. So yeah, we have plenty of time for more action. I can very much appreciate this episode being slower, being just world building and summaries and stuff like that. We'll see though. I've been talking for 12 minutes already, so how about we just watch this episode now, right? Shall we? To do that, you will need your subs, of course, to follow along with me. There we go, that's better. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show, and I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching Bye Bye Earth episode 7 in 3, 2, 1, go. Huh? Did I skip an episode? No. Right, her. She appeared like briefly. Why are you fighting exactly? Just sparring, or? Probably just sparring. Wait, you were in the catacomb. Where? When? Okay, gotcha, off screen. Sure. So is his curse like that he cannot defy orders? Something like that, maybe? Right? Like he said that he can't really do anything when he gets an order, so... I guess if a curse can take a form like the one Xian had, where he cannot use his sword for actual combat, only for teaching and training, then it stands to reason that a curse might exist that prevents you from... that's a little too bright, I think. That prevents you from using your sword for not fighting, or rather enforces that you do fight with that sword. Yeah, the weather singer appears in the opening. That would be what, like 2 or 3 feats by Belle already, right? So she's close to being free from the king's service. Maybe a little lower. Good enough. I got a new chair, so I'm still getting used to the position of it. Shouldn't squeak anymore though, so that's good. I guess not. Wait, is that... Yeah. Fuck. I'm blanking on the VA's name. The voice actress of Visha from Yojo Senki. I think. Yeah, I mean, she certainly seems nobility. Oh, yep. Nobility, all right. Of course. Sheltered nobility, like very fucking sheltered. This one, at least. Wait, Kenshi. Doesn't Kenshi translate to just like soldier or knight? Something like that? Now she didn't use Kenshi though. I don't know. No, Kenshi would be like a swordsman, right? Because Ken is a sword? I think. Uh, thank you, system voice. Lead vocalist, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Why do you want to see Shandi? Hello, Benedict. Did Sacred Ashes not fix your eye? What's Guinness doing here? Hmm. Okay, so he lost the ability to transform back, or... And he's just sitting here drinking. Some sort of a crystal. Oh, right, right. I mean, you're not wrong. It is for breaking, but only in certain situations. If you put it in the bathtub, then yes. I completely forgot that water comes from crystals, apparently. Bennett. Okay, not Benedict Bennett. Unless Bennett is short for Benedict. And... Oh, of course. Which half of him's half daughter thing. Or is it like you get the evil skin face injected into you when you get selected to be a... Do you get elected as the king? I don't know, man. Right, because the belief is that you sing for a reason, right? Something's broken, you sing to fix it. Something needs growing, you sing to grow it. Singing for the sake of singing, though, why? What is that? Again, the French, Latin-ish language. I guess she's fixing all the furniture and growing all the plants in the area. Apparently. What's going on? Is her hair a little like whiter on the top, or am I tripping? Something happened to her after she sang. Well, I guess they're a couple. Oh? Turned from red to purple. Huh. Yes, I know who an examiner is, thank you. Why? Okay. Hmm. Right. Needhog. Sure. Out. All right. What do you mean together? Like you're gonna fuse them, or? Sure. I mean, makes perfect sense. Yeah. If the sword turns out to be dangerous, absolutely destroy it. Especially since you have the power to destroy a sword, like, permanently. To not just break it, but to wither it completely. The words are, yeah, getting peeled off. Yeah, that's a big one. All right. Sure. So is it a Nidhogg sword or is it a good sword? It did start taking over her body. A good sword doesn't do that, probably. Right, Shelley was taken away from you, wasn't she? Or was it for Shelley, mayhaps? Yeah, exactly. Adonis wears Yuri goggles as well. You mean, well, jealousy? Or... I mean, fur can be shaved off. Ears can be hidden underneath a hat or something. Right, she hatched. I mean, yeah. Define. Well, that's straight to the point. uh, sure. That's very straight to the point. Sure, even straighter. Just getting rid of the filter layer of, oh, kids and what. No, I just want to fuck you. Okay, so not yet. Your sword. No, he doesn't have any, so probably not. Yeah? What about it? Okay, we're gonna get a proper explanation. That's good. And it withers. Just as his arm does. Briefly, at least. Hmm. So a curse can take a form that just completely stops you from using swords? And that help was... Oh. I thought maybe the help was turning one of them into a nomad. And Adonis was the best suited one? Another interesting looking race of people. Hmm. Right, that's the idea, isn't it? Every curse becomes a blessing. But it did manifest in you when you were born. What if you hadn't become a nomad, though? It spreads through nomad blood. What if you just said no? I don't want to be a nomad. Would it still work? Okay, so Adonis also has something he is searching for ultimately. For his curse, for a reason to live, perhaps. Belle is also looking for things. Yeah, we could go together, look for the things that we miss, right? Let's find the source of your curse. Let's find Belle's origin, right? Yeah, probably. Nothing beats adventuring with the protagonist of a story. They always get the most interesting lives, don't they? I guess she learned how to use an umbrella? Yeah? Right, what was up with that? You got like blurry vision. So what, we we again get the thing of, preordained destiny and whatnot. Oh? What did you come up with, Belle? Alright, let's hear the other songstress. Yeah, except you're going for an adventure, so Shelly is kind of gonna be stuck alone here. Though I guess like Guinness and Benedict would be staying behind, right? Because they're still solists. Yep, same one, I think. Tier? No, not yet at least. There we go. Yep. Oh, she can't hear anything but song? Interesting. Probably. until she came to terms with what her life is, I would assume. True. Everybody does. No shame in it. Well, people do need you to control weather, apparently. So, let's need each other. Well, this episode was a lot, wasn't it? Oh, that's a nice image. A ball gown and a huge fucking Zweihänder. That looks really nice. Okay, now I can lift the camera up. It's gonna take me a while until I fix it in like a particularly decent position, but right now we're gonna watch this episode again, shall we? Yes, we shall. We always do. No need to change that, is there? I really was confused at the beginning here. I thought, like, legitimately, I thought that I skipped an episode, that maybe I forgot to watch an episode last week, or that I maybe have seen like a late episode and a new episode already came out, and today I'm watching episode that's late by 2 weeks or whatever. I legitimately thought that. Like, sometimes I have a feeling like that, and I mention that, but mostly in jest, right? Oh wow, it's beginning in a completely detached way. Did I skip an episode? But in this case, it's like legit. Belle fighting with Gaff. I thought, okay, so there was an episode where Belle apparently fell out with had a falling out with Gaff for some reason, and now they're fighting, and I don't know, and there's a rain and stuff's happening. He got hurt apparently. Sometimes, like when did he get hurt? He fought a priest in catacomb. When did that happen? Right? There must have been an episode before that. It turns out no. Simply a lot of stuff happened off screen. Apparently, we got a nice little time skip. And apparently, Gav killed Adonis's dad for some reason. Divine Summons orchestrated that battle down to the closing band. Cannot stay my sword when our god wills otherwise. Yeah, so that's apparently the curse. If the god says, you kill that dude, then Gav has no way to deny that. It could be his own brother, it could be his own father, it could be his wife, it could be his son. He must obey. That's his curse. Which kind of fucking sucks. All things considered, now that we know all sorts of other nomad curses, all things considered, Belle's curse, that's, it's kind of fun, really. You gotta think in creative ways about finishing the encounter, right? You gotta destroy the weapons, but you can leave people unharmed, right? It's ultimately a very good curse to have. Yeah, Belle really won the curse lottery. She really did. As nobility of the castle, I was born into this fate. Right, again, the preordained destiny. I was born this way because I was born like that. I must. It's my curse. and nobody is even trying to do anything with it. That's also interesting, isn't it? I have not seen anybody even, not yet at least, I have not seen anybody try to go against their destiny, right? Whether Belle has a destiny or not, that remains to be seen. So I can't really say that she's going against her destiny, right? Like, early on, you could say that she was trying to use her sword to fight people, but she was just kind of getting to know her curse back then, so it wasn't going against her destiny. But we have not seen any examples of that. We have not seen anybody say, you know, this is bullshit. I don't want to live like that. I'm gonna try and go against it, right? My sword can only be used to fight good soulists. Well, I don't want that. I want to fight bad soulists as well. So I'm gonna try to do things to maybe do that. I'm gonna try to reframe it in my mind so that bad soulists become good in my mind and maybe trick my sword, my curse that way. Or maybe, I don't know, I'm gonna discard my sword, I'm gonna throw it to the side, and I'm gonna grab a brick, and I'm gonna fight with a brick, right? Nobody really seems to be going against their preordained destiny. Not even Belle. And that's very interesting to me. Belle is trying to find out what is her destiny, really. Where is her origin? Who is she? What is she supposed to do? Where is she supposed to go? She's not fighting against anything. I like this chair, but the arms rest are very easy to just change position. Whatever. I'm gonna get used to it. Yeah. Nobody is fighting against their own destiny. Like, you'd expect that in a world where there are people divided into good and evil, there would be like at least one person on the evil side who's like, no, I'm good though, and I'm gonna prove it to you, and I'm gonna do things that prove I'm a good soulist, right? Or the other way around. You'd think that someone who was born to be a singer maybe has a different idea. Maybe they want to become a swordsman, and so they go in secret and grow themselves an illegal sword or whatever, right? You'd think, but none of that is happening, it seems. Interesting. Right, Shelley. I gotta remember the name of the voice actress. Give me a moment. Saori Hayami, of course. Yep, Saori Hayami. Visha from Yojo Senki. Yotsugi from Monogatari, and plenty of other roles, of course. Falin from Dungeon Meshi. Yeah, I will recognize her voice everywhere. So nice to hear it. The city is simply full of pain. I taste iron. I'm not accustomed to walking around the city. A very sheltered Ojo-sama. Who knew blood came out of noses? Mighty Soulist Belle Lablac, indeed. This rain wouldn't dream of harming me. I called it up with my own song. That's actually a very interesting topic, now that she mentions it. Would it actually not harm her? Like, how much of the workings of this world are, like, real, quote-unquote, physics and biology, and how much of it is magic and simulation, or whatever you want to call it? Would this rain actually not give her a cold? We know that getting a cold is because you're cold, duh, and that's when your, whatchamacallit, immune system gets weaker because of the cold, because, like, what, your blood vessels constrain and lymphocytes have a harder time going anywhere. I don't know. Some sort of a mechanism where cold lowers your immune system, and that's where the cold germs can get in and give you a cold, right? That's how it works. So the rain itself might not harm her, but because she's wet, she's gonna be cold, and that's what's gonna give her a cold. Or is the rain gonna make her not cold even when she's wet? If so, then how? Is the water not gonna be evaporating? Or I'm probably looking too deep into that and straying like way past the, you know, suspension of disbelief or whatever. But still, interesting if the rain actually would not harm her. Lead vocalist who harmonizes with all things in heaven and earth. Sherry, who wants to see Shandy Gav, and apparently everybody just stays at Gav's mansion. That is Gav's mansion, right? It's not like the good Solist barracks or something. I came to see you as a woman. How did I get stuck with two drunk guys? Haven't been a woman since I was injured. Interesting one, because did Sacred Ashes not fix it? Interesting two, because why would he be unable to turn back into a woman because of just an eye injury? Right? Interesting. Who was he injured by? Was it someone super special? What, was he hurt by Tiziano? By Tiziano herself? I'm not sure, because if it was Tiziano, then you could say that, okay, she had, like, I don't know, evil powers in her sword, right, that turn people into her servants, so maybe some of that got into his wound and, right, maybe something like that. But I don't know, I'm not sure, we'll see if it ever gets explained or not. Also, again, I might be looking a little bit too much into it, but I came to see you as a woman, Belle says. Then she gets a little jealous of Shelley. I'm seeing some undertones here. Probably not. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm looking too deep into it. Maybe my Yuri goggles are just permanently fixed to my face. We'll see. Water bath, and yeah, of course, crystals. What's this? You break it and you get hot water. Duh. Everybody knows where hot water comes from. Crystals. You wanna get a cup of tea? Well, grab that crystal, crack it open, put in some tea leaves, and you get tea. Wanna take a bath? Just throw a crystal in, smash it open, and you're gonna get some water. Of course. Obviously. Also, Guinness is missing an arm. Did Sacred Ashes not fix that either? Huh. What is the limitation of Sacred Ashes exactly? Or is the price too steep? We know that Adonis had to pay the price for his Secret Ashes by his service as an examiner, right? If I get a read on that correctly. So do they, I don't know, not have much to offer for Sacred Ashes? I did not get the impression that Sacred Ashes are like particularly hard to come by or particularly precious. I'm pretty sure in the previous episode the priest was applying some of them to some people. So what's the limitation here again? Bennett doesn't skim on foam fruits. Oh, of course, where does bath foam come from? Fruits! Where else? Lead vocalist and King Rawhide's daughter, apparently. How does that work? How does it work? Does Rawhide fuck? Or was she born before he got the chest symbiote? Or do they... I don't know, man. I have no fucking clue. Maybe she was born of cabbage. Sure. You know what? That's my headcanon now. Probably not too far off for this world that she was born of cabbage. Or a stork brought her. You know? Sure. We have raven plants that bring message of the dead. We could have stork plants that bring children. Absolutely. I'm willing to believe that. Some way to repay you, sing. And again, they believe that singing has to do something. Fix something, or change weather, or make plants grow, or whatever. Singing cannot be just for singing. Interestingly, even when she is singing just for the sake of singing, she could fix my face cam with her singing if she wants to, because it started to flicker. Even if she sings for the sake of singing, she still seems to be like fixing things around, right? Maybe like removing all those tiny scratches on the furniture, removing some bugs from the plants, watering them to perfection, right? Stuff like that, maybe? I don't know. And yeah, then she gets blurry vision, loses her balance briefly. So yeah, something must be happening with her. Belle's gem. Right. What color did it have? Okay, she doesn't have it here. She doesn't show it all throughout this scene. No, there it is. It's red. Yeah, it's red. Okay, and it's still red. And then it turns purple. Why? Is it some sort of an indicator? Indicator of what? You're getting closer to revealing the secret of your curse? No, her gem is not really connected to her sword. Getting closer to discovering your origin? How? How would the presence of Shelley bring Belle any closer to discovering who she is and where she's from? Whenever the name of her sword maybe comes in effect, whenever Belle acts according to her destiny, something like that, right? Like, her sword is Utopia. So maybe whenever Belle helps someone, thus bringing the Utopia closer to reality, her gem glows red to indicate that, yes, you're doing the right thing. Maybe. I'm gonna note down for sure that the gem is an indicator of something. I just don't know of what. I just don't know of what. Where is it? Okay, we're almost finishing the... Yeah, we've finished the second page already. Belle's gem color is an indicator of something turning red from inert purple. I wonder. Tiziano's sword, Schwarzstreik, black strike, something like that. Couldn't hold a candle to her now that I've lost my own sword. Yeah. Examiner, royal inspector who visits soulists with broken swords. And he apparently does that, and that is a prize for sacred ashes. Ashes of the Tried. Testing the good and evil in soulists who've broken their swords. So can you like switch allegiance when your sword is broken? A sword test its wielder, yeah. That much I was able to figure out. When Gav shattered the sword of Tiziano, right, makes sense that Adonis would regrow it. And it turned her into a Nidhogg. Nidhogg is not... Nidhogg is from Norse mythology, and I believe that's a dragon, yeah. Yeah, Nidhogg is the dragon that gnaws on one of the roots of Yggdrasil. Yeah. So not like fiend, but sure. One of the like meanings of Nidhogg is like metaphorical, the dragon, the evil that gnaws at the root of Viking society. So maybe. And at that, I'm going to revive your sword together with Tiziano's sword for some reason. So you can also merge two swords together. Interesting. The words get separated and the blade turns into one. Dilegnav. It has the features of both swords, which is cool. It has the red color of Legna and the like gem of Legna, right? Legna is the centaur guy's sword, and it has the shape of Tiziano's sword. Cool, sure. Dilegnave. Right. One who bears good tidings, and that does not turn you into a Nidhogg. It wasn't the sword that drove Tiziano mad after all, was it, though? Or rather, wasn't it, though? Like, you merged a potentially evil sword with a plain, like, good sword. Maybe the evil got banished in the process. And thus the reborn sword does not turn you into a Nidhogg, but Tiziano's sword on its own might have. Or is it like being a Nidhogg sword is a dominant gene and being a good sword is recessive? I don't know. Maybe. Could very well be. But if it wasn't Tiziano's sword that drove her mad, and need I remind you, the sword was taking over her arm, what was it? Right? If Belle was able to cut her arm off, where she's not able to attack like human peoples, she's able to break swords, right? Then that arm wasn't just her corruption, it came from the sword. So it had to have been the sword. I've made my peace with what happened to Teats, and I guess we're not gonna learn about their like full history together. I guess because they both were solists, they grew close just through the, sheer fact that both of them were solists, probably. Annoyed or lonely? Yeah, maybe because of the princess. Sure. Bunch of... do I even call it flirting? Do I even call it flirting? No, he's like, do you want to have my children? No, what are you asking? Maybe. No, that was just me putting it lightly. To put it bluntly, I want to fuck you. Hoo-wee. He doesn't mince words, does he? Yeah, I'm not totally sure. Yeah, of course. You can't grow swords, right? We know that it's a curse. I mean, we've already learned that. We already know how it works. It came from a nomad who also bore this curse, or a no, not really, because he's using a sword. So it couldn't have been the same curse. It was some sort of a curse in his blood that turns whoever is cursed into a bearer of the sword-breaking curse, or what? You could say I was born to become a nomad, and that's again the question that I asked at the very beginning of this discussion segment. What if he just said, "No, I'ma be a farmer. My curse is the sword-breaking one. Says nothing about hoes. Says nothing about plows. I'm gonna grab a hoe and I'm gonna go to town on that field of cabbage bunnies or whatever, right? What if he just said, no, I'm gonna be a carpenter. I'm gonna grab that saw, I'm gonna grab that chisel. They ain't swords, they're not gonna wither, and I'm gonna make me a chair. Right? But no, he did not even think to go against this, like, preordained destiny of his. Nobody even seems to see going against their destiny as a possibility. It doesn't even come from the place of, like, complacency, or from a place of I could do that, but why? It comes from the place, seemingly, of nobody even being aware that it's a possibility. And I assume that it is a possibility, because nothing is technically stopping them from doing that, I don't think. If there was something like that, then it would have been mentioned, I'd say, because it would be like a big part of the world that if you go against your destiny, then you get struck by thunder from heavens above and die instantly or something, right? It wasn't mentioned, so it has to be just the status quo of the world? I don't know. Wound up as one of the top 4 solists wondering what the hell our god wants. Very good question, actually, yeah. And just as Belle wants to know her roots, Adonis wants to know the reason of his curse, and he wants to know what the god wants. Sure. And we're gonna go on a journey together, which was already kind of teased by the opening, so, you know, no surprises there. Singing is all I have. Now, this is like a very, very brief glimpse, maybe, into that bit of questioning your destiny, right? That's what Shelley is doing here a little bit. Right? Singing is all I have. Singing is my destiny. I've been singing all this time. But what if I had not? What if I could not sing? What would have become of me? Right? That's the first time, I think, that we see that happen. Which is very interesting that it comes from the daughter of King Rawhide himself. And also, interesting how we deal with that. Right? Like, notice that we don't deal with that by telling Sherry that she has worth besides singing. Instead, we show her the worth of singing. We reignite that flame in her, you could say, a little bit, right? I wanna be needed. Does anyone have need of someone who cries? Right. Very interesting that we deal with it this way. usually, like, usually in stories of this kind and other kinds as well, whenever you have a character who's having a bit of a crisis of whether the thing they're doing has any worth, and the thing they're doing is often kind of menial, you don't really know if it's useful or not, kind of like singing a little bit, right? Like I've been singing my whole life. I only ever know singing. I don't know anything else. What if I lose my voice? Am I gonna be ever useful again, right? Things like that, when they happen, usually the main character, or in general other characters as well, try to help that person, that character, by helping them find other ways, helping them find worth that isn't external, that isn't attached to the thing they're doing, right? Like, okay, you have your singing, you're scared that it's the only thing you have. Let's try cooking. Let's see how well you cook. Maybe you're gonna like cooking, maybe you're gonna know cooking. Let's try crocheting, let's try hunting, let's try swords fighting, let's try painting, let's try all those things, so that maybe you will find something, or you will find internal worth inside yourself that will not need external validation. That's usually how the stories go. We did the exact opposite here. Shelley still only has her singing. Her worth is still only in her singing. But now she feels needed by Belle? I'm gonna be honest, it's like Shelley's character arc is not entirely clear to me. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not really sure what happened here at the end. Like, the way I understand it is that Shelley wants to feel needed and Belle wants to feel needed, so they essentially get an agreement. I will need you and you will need me. That way we both will feel needed, right? Something along those lines. I don't know. Also feels kind of off that we are making friends this way right before presumably Belle is gonna leave the place. This is your last duty before you can go journeying. Yeah, right? Like, one last thing, and then we're off, then we're away. And Shelley's not gonna have a friend in the city. So, ah. A ball shaking before the fiend flower. Whatever the fiend flower is, it's probably gonna be some sort of a monster. Eighth movement. Assuming this is gonna be 24 episodes, then I guess we can expect 3 arcs, and we can expect the next episode to be an end of an arc. Then we might get like a transitionary episode, 8 episodes of another arc, or 7-ish. Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Kind of hard to tell without even knowing how many episodes there are gonna be exactly, but oh well, we'll see. We'll see all about it in the next episode, because that's gonna be it for this one. And it was confusing. That's, I think, the first thing that comes to my mind. It really feels like a lot of stuff happened in this episode, and it started very early. The confusion started from the very moment this episode began, and I was confused whether I missed an episode, or am I watching the correct one, or what's going on exactly. And it just kind of continued throughout. We got some answers, sure, but those answers, for the most part, were nothing that I wouldn't have suspected already. I guess we got the additional information that Adonis can fix swords with his like special ash things. which makes me kind of question, why did Xian go to a sword right to have his sword fixed? Are there multiple ways of fixing swords? Or is the sword right also just using those ashes? The thing with merging swords, that's also very interesting. But overall, we mostly got more questions, right? Like, why is Bennett stuck in a male body with just this sort of an injury? What's going on with Guinness? Why did his arm not regrow with sacred ashes? And why is he just hanging around the place and drinking? He's apparently a friend now. Cool. We don't really get an answer what happened to the underdogs that helped them during a fight. We know that Adonis's father died off screen. Did all of them die? Did was Gav a part of a cleanup party after Tiziano died at the hand of Adonis and Belle, and they evacuated from the place? Then Gav and his team entered and just sweep the entire catacomb and destroyed every remaining underdog, or what exactly happened there, right? We don't really know that, and I'm kind of missing a little bit of closure, I guess. Yeah. And then we got even more questions raised, questions that didn't get answers, and questions that are unlikely to get answers. Right, we got the thing with Shelley, that apparently singing tires her out. Is this supposed to happen? Is she using her mana in the process or whatever? Or is she like not suited to be a singer, but she was raised to be a singer despite that? Would she be better off as a carpenter? Right? Like, what's going on there? We don't know that either. And Shelley's entire like character arc was kind of confusing in general. So and also Adonis and Belle, Adonis apparently having the hots for Belle. Is it just me, or does it feel like abrupt and fast and just kind of sort of unprompted? Right? It feels like we went from the stage of we are co-workers who hang around straight into the stage of have my children, I want to screw you senseless on the floor. Right? Completely like skipping the phase of, I don't know, to use some anime tropes, grabbing the same thing together and being shy because, oh no, our hands touched. Right? Like kind of just skipping the middle and jumping straight from acquaintances to heavy sexual tension. I don't know. It really feels at times that this show is a little bit too fast-paced, but at the same time not. I don't know, it's a weird feeling. It's a very weird feeling regarding the pacing of this show. So this episode, was it fun? It was, sure. I mean, every single episode of this show is entertaining in just through the sheer world building that we get from it, right? Just through the sheer, you know, being interesting in the way of ooh shiny, kinda. Just through this virtue alone, every episode is interesting and fun, sure. But it was also very confusing. And where I was hoping for answers and closures, we got off-screen explanations and more confusion. I'm really leaving this episode a little bit confused about some things without much of additional explanation of pretty much anything. Just with an expectation of we're gonna be done with this arc and let's see what the next arc brings, right? Maybe traveling the world. That might be a little bit more interesting, I feel. Right? Because that's also a thing. We are stuck currently in this city, very limited stage, so to speak. And it's all just around the conflict between the top dogs and underdogs. A very artificial conflict to boot. But we know that outside of the city, the concept of top dogs and underdogs doesn't really exist, right? I don't think so, at least. So I think it's going to be fun to kind of escape the confines of this system, right? So I'm hopeful for that, for sure. Anything else that I had to add? Had something in my mind. Oh, right. Did Belle not tell Adonis that Gav killed his father? Like, you'd think that she would tell him that, hey, yo, your father is, kind of someone just, you might want to visit him maybe, or did you get a crow? No, none of that. I don't know. It really feels in this episode like they skipped a little bit. Like this episode should have been 2 episodes. First time I feel that, I think, in this show. Yeah, alright, I think that's gonna be it. Overall, had my fun, and that's what matters the most, I think. But I think it could have been a little bit better. I don't want to be spoiled, but I think we deserve a little bit more explanation in like some things, and I hope some new knowledge is gonna arrive soon, because I have experience with shows that just ask questions and create mysteries and answer none of them. Attack Top Destiny was exactly that. And it can get stale and old after a while when you just get new questions and no new answers. So I hope this show does not become that. We'll see, of course, in the future. It's been very good so far at, answering some questions here and there, giving us hints. So hopefully it continues. But we shall see all about that in the next episode. And right now, I think that's gonna be it from me for today. But you guys, you tell me, what did you think of this episode? My reaction, my theories, stuff like that in the comments down below. No spoilers, please. Spoilers can go to my Discord if you like. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only Bye Bye Earth, but also Spice and Wolf, Wistoria, Isekai, Shikkaku, QA, Isekai, plenty others coming in the future. Click the bell to be notified when I go live, because I do go live sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube through membership, super thanks, super chats, and if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my one through Patreons: QB, Without an Ed, Serena, Yuki Alai, Chibi Bro, Dr. Takamasa, Marsh Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to merge two swords into one.